And we're still
This
hearing,
week on My Time to Talk.
Black woman, the first black man, the first this.
I don't think it was the first. It's just the first that they've documented. It's similar to what she was saying about the slaves. Nobody was documenting our history from the time that we was thinking.
That has made you feel like
and even when the police told him to stand down.
But then, even then, in everything that he said, he specifically said something like, the guy who shot him, these guys always get away. And whether he's referring to, we've been broken into, we've been broken into by these hoodlums around the area. Or whether he's specifically saying about like, but then you don't know the incident that happened that made him feel like he's thinking, is it a black guy or is it because it's a young guy or because he just doesn't like the area? Or so you see,
I'd be classified as a Dalit. You know what I mean? And
but this is the whole difference though, because if you was classified as a Dalit in India, it doesn't matter how ambitious you were. You would not be. You'd still be shoveling.
Yeah, but the thing is,
the whole thing of caste.
Yeah, but I really do. I like your hair. Wow. Shall I go in the middle?
You're in the middle.
I'm in the middle.
Position, girl.
The weather don't know what it's doing. It don't know what it's doing. It don't know what it's doing. Is it winter? Is it summer? Is it spring?
It hasn't got
it's not my genetics.
We're in the UK, so it's winter all the time except for 2 weeks.
Every day is
which, although in lockdown they did like crank that dial up, they were like, go on then.
I know. Have a bit of sun.
Have a bit of
continuing.
We're actually in spring. Don't forget.
The spring
we
is
can do our spring cleaning now.
It's the first of the month. Pinch punch.
I can remember when I didn't speak Brummie. Now I speak Brummie. I do.
When have you not spoke Brummie?
No, I didn't. When I used to go boarding school.
Born and raised.
They used to come back and what's it?
How did you
used to say? They used to say, "Oh, why are you speaking so posh?"
How did you speak?
I spoke Bromsgrovish.
How does that sound? Go on.
Hello. How are you?
Telephone voice.
Oh, Mrs. What's her name?
Bouquet.
Bouquet.
Yeah.
Bucket.
Is it Bouquet? Can I help you?
So, what are we chatting about today?
Well, today, as we've all watched Origin and Caste, now we thought we'd do a review. Is that the right word? You know, I thought we'd do a little review about it because, like, I've got some definite thoughts.
Which is probably different
sometimes it doesn't pay to be this old, but you know, I've got probably a different point of view.
No, it's good to have good. All points of view are welcome. So
I would say though, points out of 10 would be 10.
Oh wow!
I still would say 10.
Okay.
Yeah. What would you say?
And why would you give it 10?
Hold on a minute. No. Okay. What would you give it?
12 and a half.
Oh, and you?
Yeah, definite.
Really?
Top marks.
So, like from the point of like the whole film concept, how it's done cinematically, actors.
I was intrigued as to how.
And who was it?
What's it? Ava DuVernay. It was produced by Ava DuVernay.
But she was from the book of.
She did 13th. She did what else has she done? Wrinkle in Time. She did When They See Us. So she's done like a lot of conscious movies as well as some kids stuff as well. Plus other stuff long before that. But this is based on a non-fiction book written by Isabel Wilkerson. And she wrote it just after the passing of, well, not just after, but off the back of Trayvon Martin and the whole Black Lives Matter movement. And she just wanted to explore racism and the nuances of racism, basically, and why we label everything as racism. And kind of she used Trayvon as the beginning part because she found it fascinating that it was an Hispanic man that had gone out of his way to patrol and police a white neighbourhood, and eventually, obviously, we all know, ended up killing Trayvon Martin. When they did that whole scene with the Trayvon Martin thing, that was the actual call. That was so all of that being played out is the actual call. And although we've heard parts of the Zimmerman's call before, what I have never heard anyway was hearing Trayvon screaming in the background, like,
and his friend on the call, you know, the police call. That
wasn't his friend. That was somebody
in the neighbourhood
one of the neighbours
that could see something was going on.
That's what I loved about it as well, is that they did snippets of what happened in the past, but that was like actors doing it, as well as what's happening in the present, as well as what's happening, what's it called, like what actually happened, like documentary, factual things are happening, as they're recording, but it's all just mixed up into one thing that just makes so much sense.
But that's what she's,
like, it's just
to me, she's trying to say sort of like racism against caste, you know. I mean, are we just dealing with a racist scenario, or are we dealing with just a caste system? And the thing that she goes into, which is like alert, if you haven't, spoiler alert, if you haven't actually watched it, it has been out quite a while, but you know what I mean, like the controversial thing to me was the fact that she identified areas that she actually lived in before she met a husband who was white, and she identified the fact that she was being racially profiled by a worker outside her home, and her husband, who wasn't her husband then, had to come up and tell the man that, you know, like, what you doing, you can't treat her like that. Which she was being racially profiled, she wasn't being casted, so to speak, you know what I mean. And then the depictions of what she showed as caste, the thing is though, we can say that the caste system in India is a real caste thing, but they are still racially profiled as a collective. It doesn't matter where they are up on the line in their community. If they leave that community, they're not casted, they're racially profiled.
I think this is what you're probably, I feel, you've probably taken it as she's trying to say there is no racism. Is that what you think that she was saying?
No, I'm saying that she hasn't identified caste as opposed to as opposed to racism.
No, I think she did though. I think she did, because that was the thing. Like we know that there's blatant racism, but I think what she was trying to say is okay, take the India thing for instance. So in India they're all brown, but yet there still has to be some kind of structure or hierarchy to make somebody superior and somebody inferior. So we see in Jamaica even,
that's what
they want to lighten their skin, so that's not racism because they're all black. Do you know what I mean? So this is what she's saying, like, so it's not that, but it's a hierarchy. It's still something that they have seen. A white person is able to do more, or they feel a white person looks prettier, or whatever their ideologies of why they're doing it. By not being dark. So I hear what you're saying. If those Indians that are the highest class of Indians come to, say, the UK, they would probably still find they're down here now, and other people are up here. But what she's saying is exactly that. Like, it depends on your thing. It's actually a social construct depending on where you are.
But that is in every community. Like they were saying about Prince Harry and Meghan. You know what I mean? Like the question was asked, like, oh, how dark is he going to be? Type of thing. You know what I mean? Like that is a question that if black people are honest, they ask. You know what I mean? They do ask that type of thing because like, and not because they think they'll have a better outline.
But why
you know,
outlook.
They ask because they think that it would be better for the child. But really, Jamaica, probably Barbados or the Caribbean has got a caste system whereby they think that if you're born into a certain family, I don't really want you in my family. And the thing comes from England because England had working class, middle class, and upper class.
So I was going to ask then. So then, for example, where you live, in that area, there's a lot of people who are, I wouldn't even say working class sort of thing, like in terms of
I would
like
say
they
probably would come under the what did she say the Asians are called?
No, they're not the dullets because they're not
because they're not even doing anything really. They're not even forced to do anything.
Exactly.
These are people who are not working. They're quite like layabouts. They're not very intelligent. A lot of them.
But
how do you distinguish yourself against them?
I would say that a
another
lot
mixed
of
race
them,
woman who just runs around on that road, who on appearance level, you personally would not put yourself at the same level as this person, even though appearance wise you were the same thing.
But I know
what would you no, but the question is, what would you identify as the difference between that woman, in your personal opinion, between that woman and yourself?
I would say that I've got ambition and they haven't. That's the only thing that I would say, because I know that put me with another black person in Erdington, if I was to say like put myself and you know into Solihull, they would still say that even if I was even if I had £1 billion pounds, they would say, well, you're still on the same level as a person that is in Erdington without £1 billion, because I am black. No, but I'm saying they would still put me in the same criteria as somebody.
No, but what would you put yourself in?
How would you?
At the moment, I would say that I identify as somebody with ambition.
So if you had to say,
as opposed to them.
So even so, despite the fact of you being out of work, if you was to say I'm either working class, middle class, or upper class, personally for you, what would you identify?
I would say working class.
You
I would say that I'm working class. I would be on the same level as anybody in Erdington, black or white, at the moment.
So you're on the same level.
I'm at the same level as them, as far as they're concerned. Yeah.
The people that
I would say that if we're going to go caste, if we're going to go caste wise,
as far as
you look at yourself,
that's what you're saying. If I'd be classified as a Dalit. You know what I mean?
But this is the whole difference, though, because if you was classified as a Dalit in India, it doesn't matter how. But hold on, if you was classified as a Dalit in India, it doesn't matter how ambitious you were. You would not be. You'd still be shoveling shit.
Yeah, but the thing is,
the whole thing of caste.
Yeah, but I'm saying the caste. They forgot to tell. She forgot to tell us that there is a caste in India that all they can be is prostitutes. You know what I mean? That is part of a caste system in India. We got lucky that she only talked about
because there's only so because this is what I was saying to Risha. It is supposed to be a really big book, so I presume that what she's done is taken
judge it on the things that she didn't say.
But I mean that okay, then we're judging it on the film. I haven't heard the book. I haven't read the book. So I would say that the film didn't identify, to me then, the film didn't identify caste as opposed to racism, because like I know that my mother comes from Jamaica and she was white Jamaican, and her as her people would have said, that her marrying my father put her in a different caste.
Yes.
Because she was, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly what it
That's
is,
what
but
I'm
it doesn't
saying.
change the fact that she's white.
But that's what I'm saying. Caste.
Was that racism?
But that's what I'm saying.
That
That is
racism, though?
caste.
But was that
That is
racism?
caste in your same community.
But was that racism?
But that was
But
that's
you're
also
saying the
racism.
same thing.
I'm
You're
saying
saying the
that.
same
But
thing
then
that
this
she's
is the
saying.
thing that is
You are saying
pinnacle
the
for
same
me,
thing,
which
yeah.
I never understood, is that, for example, Nanny was always a white woman. So now this is why caste now makes sense to me, because I always got confused by the fact that you would always identify as black. You never said that you was mixed or anything like that. You said you was black, and then Nanny to me had always looked like a white woman, even though she spoke with a Jamaican accent. As far as I was concerned, she looked like a white woman. So, and my granddad looked, even though he's Syrian, he looked like a black man. Do you get what I mean? So, as far as I was concerned, when Nanny would say derogatory things about people who were black, even though I was black, in colour, and we're all like I said, she's a white woman and I'm a black child, but she loves me inherently. She would cuss anyone else out if they were to say anything about me, but then would refer to other people in a derogatory term. That made no sense to me, because I was like, well, she can't be racist because
she married a black man.
She's married to a black woman, and she loves me. She loves all her grandkids, and all her grandkids are black, like me. Like she loves all her kids,
how she's
and
raised
all her kids
and where
are
she
pink.
was raised from.
So
that is how her
has
people
made
would have
her
looked at
this
dark
talk
people.
like people who are of that caste against someone else
It's
as
the same
you're
as
a lower
the-
standard.
yeah, it's the same
And
as the
you,
English
as my
grammar.
child, my children, I made you. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
You are not of a lower standard because I am of a certain caste. So I inherently give you that.
But that's what I meant. That's what I meant when I said that the film started with Trayvon Martin. The whole thing about Trayvon Martin was not about caste. The thing was racism.
That's what.
Do you know what I mean? So as you said, like, but if you're in a community, then like, because Trayvon Martin could have been dissed in his own community as like, oh, he's a black, dark and ignorant or something. So he's of a lower caste in his own community. It's not racism. It's prejudiced. It's being prejudiced against Trayvon Martin in his own community. He was being prejudiced against black people in Jamaica. They get prejudiced against each other because they think, well, you're not on the same level as me.
That's
You're
the whole point
in a
of
different
this.
caste.
This is
But
the
it's
whole
not
point.
racism
But
because
this is where I feel like-
everybody's black.
I feel like this is where her take on it, this specific woman's take on it, was that the question that she had after hearing about the Trayvon Martin thing was, why would someone, because Trayvon Martin was light as well. He was a light black guy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Black boy. And this Hispanic man is also light, but he's a Hispanic man. He's not white. He's a Hispanic man. So her question after that incident was, well, you're not a white man. Yeah. So it's not, oh, black people and I'm better than you.
Looking at this black boy like this, yeah.
So what is it about you that has made you feel like
And even
you
when the
should
police
attack
told him to stand down,
but then
no.
even then, in everything that he said, he specifically said something like, the guy who shot him, these guys always get away. And whether he's referring to we've been broken into, we've been broken into
And
by
nobody
these
does
hoodlums
anything.
around the area, or whether he's
It wasn't his area, though,
specifically
that's the worst
saying
thing, yeah.
about
Following
like,
him.
but then you don't know the incident that happened that made
That's
him
made
feel
him
like
feel
he's
like
thinking,
that,
is it a black guy or is it because it's a young guy, or because he just doesn't like the area, or whatever it is. What is it that has made it? So her question was, from the whole of the film, is this more than, okay, you black, do you get
And
what I
that's
mean?
why I found
Or
it so
you
thingy.
or
When-
something like
Well,
that.
hold on a minute,
It's
hold on a
something
minute.
else that makes people treat other people a certain way, and
But
that's
this is
the
what
whole.
Hold on.
saying.
Remember when her mother said, Well, they should know. He should know better
to just not
to be walking in an area that's predominantly white.
No,
and she turned to her husband and she said, "Do you really think that?" And he says, "Well, she's got a point."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, that is not, that is racism.
Yes,
do you know what I mean? Because like, her mother had to live in a time where she knew.
That's why when he said, "But you can't live that way," and that's when she was like, "Can't you?" As if to say, "We do it all the time. What you want about? We can't live that way." Like, people have been doing this from time immemorial. Do you know what I mean? So I did like that little interaction, because at the end of the day, yes, he is ingratiated into a black family, and he understands the nuances of it. But he is still a white man. When he's not walking with his wife, he can walk around as a white man. He will hear
He could walk in a black area, and he could walk in a white area.
And
but the boy, as far as he's concerned,
white saviour, or is it a thingy? Because he knows however I do this, it's going to come across like I'm trying to save your life and blah blah blah. But really, I just want to chirp you. That's it. I want to be in them.
But what I did like was how she did show the link between the Nazi Germany regime and the Jim Crow laws. So I was wondering how she was gonna think of that. So
that woman told her straight, it's not the same.
It's not
thing.
the same.
Like,
and then she went and did her research and she linked it back in. So yeah, I think it was thingy. Like, I spent about a good half an hour just bawling, because there were so many scenes.
I was manning it. Because there's a lot of stuff.
The first hour is the hour that I was crying, because I thought, like,
but that's what I said.
It's dangerous to be around this woman.
I was trying to hold it.
I tried to hold it for so long in that first hour, and like many times I was like, okay, no, it's not. Don't even associate yourself, Risha. Just let it go. It's a film, blah blah blah. And then in the second hour, it was like,
let go.
You thought it was sad in the first half. You thought it was sad in the blah. By the end, I think like I thought I was done, and I was just ready to just like fix up myself, and then it just.
The first hour, as I say, it gave. Oh, well, I should say, in the evening, in the night, I actually woke up to this film, because like it gave me the feeling of like, are black people cursed? And I had to actually say that to myself, like, are we cursed then, you know, type of thing, because like if anything, we've got the caste system and the racism going on, you know what I mean?
And then you're
like,
a woman.
What happened? And then we're a woman.
And
you
then
know
it depends
what
what religion you put on yourself as well, because you've got
also,
black Muslims, and then that puts a whole nother
story on it.
And a whole other divide.
That's it, but that's what I like.
The biggest part of it that I feel like I loved was the understanding that all of the people that have put unity and love and kind of mixing ourselves sort of thing is the way forward, and to stop that kind of divide. Because if everyone looked exactly the same, all mocha chocolate and blended and all everything, no one can identify as anything else. And I think that in itself was what kind of moved me the most, is that to know that mankind is the thing that prevents us from getting to that place. We've actually got these blockades up so that we spend money, so that we like have a certain look out on life, or like outlook even on life or stuff like that. It's all put into this system to kind of make us feel like this is how we have to live. But it is absolutely each and every one of us' choice to build the house and go over the cracks.
I don't know. I actually don't know if that is like not a ideal way of thinking, because I mean, like, we're in 2024 and we're still hearing, oh, the first black woman, the first black man, the first this.
I don't think it was the first. It's just the first that they've documented. It's similar to what she was saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Nobody was documenting our history from the time that we was thinking. And if they did, they fucking exactly.
Everything.
But that's what I mean. Like, as I say, I've said to you, as I've said to you, like before,
the black books.
There is. She showed a lynching. But there was children at that lynching, and these children are still alive.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
That's what she was saying about the Confederate flag. Yeah. That's what, like, all of the things that you're thinking. She did mention it, but I'm thinking, like, it was pockets, and you got to think this was a 2.5 hour film, and I feel like what Ava's tried to do is condense the main what she felt, because obviously you got to think that we're seeing it through Ava's eyes. We're reading the book. And watching the film through Ava's eyes. So maybe if we read the book, obviously everything's subjective, isn't it? So you would take something different from it. I would take. You would. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So she's just tried to think it and get it as a conversation piece, and I feel like that is what it's done.
Can I just
for
say,
sure.
the parts, I mean, like, those were one of the pinnacle parts where she spoke about how they made it illegal for a lot of time that you couldn't marry outside your race. So then after a certain amount of years, that just becomes known knowledge. So they can take away the restriction and say, yeah, you can date outside your race, but you don't remember a time where you did that anymore. So it doesn't, just because, like, then they're like, oh yeah, no, yeah, we'll release that rule sort of thing just in Parliament on the sly. You've now built a whole generation of people who have never dated outside their race. Do you get what I mean?
That's
to
right.
make it then the whole world.
But you say that's right, Mum. What if you?
And then,
no, I don't mean that. That's right to do.
And then one second.
I mean that.
1 second. And then so then that's where the stipulation of, like, then when black women say to other black women, oh, so you with a white guy, or black men say, oh yeah, you with a white guy. Yes. I'm with a white guy. Get off my fucking ass. Do you get what I mean? Because as far as I'm concerned, it's absolutely my choice to love whom I love.
Exactly.
And the thing is I've loved black guys, white guys, Asian guys. It doesn't matter to me. It's about who you are, and that's exactly. It doesn't matter about the divide of colour or race or anything like that.
But it's still.
Second part, the burning of the books. Of them saying that they would take all of these books that people had made about all of the history of all these
that
people,
was a tragic part,
generations of black people, Asian people, white people, of all their history, and burnt them to the point where you can't do it anymore.
They're doing it today.
So that
this
means
is why
that
it's all
when
relevant.
you then burn all these books, take all these people from one land, regardless of what colour you are, take all these people from one land and immerse them into a whole new culture. There is no knowledge of what our history was before. And our history was because we were gods. We were
Kings,
the people,
queens,
all of that stuff.
So
they took all of that. Do you get what I mean? So that means that everything that you think of yourself as a person, they have tried to make you feel that way throughout, like, decades upon decades of stuff. To now, these people who are now in control or in charge, they don't actually know a time where it was like that. They think that you do not have any history. They genuinely think that you do not have any history because they've had decades of people telling them, well, you know, nothing's there. Well, that was it. No, it was just slavery, and that was it.
If you're telling people that this is the first black person that has done this, the first black person that's done that or something in 2024, I mean, like, there's black children that's going to think, well, we're not very good, are we? You know, as black people.
Purposeful,
I know, that's constructive. It's been constructed over. Hold on a minute. It's been constructed over the years. Do you know what I mean? Like, we was talking about it yesterday. I was talking about it to somebody about how Candice Owens keeps talking about how we're taking fathers out of, you know, like we should be more concerned about how the government took fathers out of black women's houses, you know, with their children and that, by saying, well, we'll look after you, but you can't have a man in your house. Well, they've done that in England as well. Do you know what I mean? And there's women in England that don't know that happened to them. You know, that happened to their mother. They think that their mother was somebody that just couldn't keep a man, type of thing, you know what I mean? But it's constructed, decisive. It's like when people go to war, when these countries go to war, they've got a system whereby they go into the country, they rape and pillage, and they make people's life a misery, and then they come out of that country and their religion has been taunted, the people have been taunted, they're all got PTSD, and it's done on purpose. You know what I mean? It's got nothing to do with caste. It's got nothing to do with
but it is, because this is what it's
systematic.
But it is,
what's it?
Because what is that built on? Exactly, but that is the system. Because that is the system. Because that what you've just explained is the same thing. What she was saying, how the Jim Crow thing transferred down. So you think that all these empires, we're part of it, UK, you think they don't look at that? What do you think the SOS laws was? Wasn't that just another thingy? And that was a way of just saying, okay, well, we'll target the black people without saying we're targeting the black people. And that was what the Jim Crow laws was. We'll target the black people without saying we'll target the black people. That was the whole thing, the war on drugs. We'll target the black people without saying we're targeting the black people. It wasn't a war on drugs. It was a war on black people. Do you know what I mean? So all of this stuff is built on that. I think that was the whole point of it. Do you know what I mean? I think we're all arguing exactly the same thing. The same thing in different things.
Yeah, the biggest question posed from me from that is that if things were to flip now and say, okay, now black people are on top, you're in charge and stuff like
the
that.
Noughts and crosses.
Are you saving every other race that now is below you? Are you, if the caste system switched over and you are now in control of whether you pull everyone up with you, and it's a level playing field, would you then be that person? Because that is the whole question that she's saying, that every single one of us have the decision when you're on top
to just be for people,
the people, and say that, you know, it's not a thing of like
what
I'm
religion
better
you
or
are,
whatever.
what race or whatever.
If you are on top, you are in control of saying, I'm going to give it to everyone. Do you get what I mean? I'm not going to push around with my doggy in a little trolley, like walking around my area. I'm going to go and, like, you know, do some stuff and make it equal to everyone. Do you get what I mean?
I you know, as a rule, I would say that, because I would say black people are very giving, considering like there has been 400 years of slavery or racism and then some. I mean, like, it's been, and black people will still marry a white person. They will still be friends with, we've got there's not that inert malice. Do you know what I mean? Because like, we kill each other. Do you know? It's not like we're all nicey to each other. We kill each other. You know what I mean? Like, at the drop of a hat, half of them. You know what I mean? Like, we're hearing about stabbings every single day in England anyway. You know what I mean? So as a rule, I mean, like, it never stopped racism against never stopped black men or black women going out with white men or white women. Never stopped them. It was like, I love who I love. But
then you could say the same for the white person. They must have thought that from their side.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean?
Both
there was
ways.
some.
But
I mean, like, but going,
obviously, whoever was in love with the other, they both thought it from each other's
but
side,
depicting the thing about the little boy in the swimming pool.
That was
nobody said a word. Can you imagine that scenario with a black situation? I don't think that black people would have stood there and let other black people say, that child cannot move of that thing. You know, there'd be black people all over the place saying
like, what I thought,
you know, like you get that child.
That little thing floating.
Wasn't it? But that's what I'm saying. But it was a depiction of.
But I've had a similar thing of that.
It was a
when I went to
the
play place and they wouldn't let me in. I went to that kid's birthday party. It was sort of like there was a. I won't say the name, but you know, like one of them inflatable places back in the day when they first became big, and I was invited to this kid's party, and then I've got there. I'm the only black kid there. I've got there, and they were like, "Yeah, she can't go in." And literally, that scene just reminded me totally. And the mum was like, "Well, why can't she go in?" She was like, "Oh, she's too tall."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And she was like, yeah, but it's a party. Like, I bought her a place. Like, it's a party. It's a kid's party. Like, what? She's going to have to sit there.
Like, Valma went to Germany.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, but Valma went to Germany in the 70s. And they all says like, oh, you can go in. Everybody else is coming out.
Yeah.
That was in the 70s.
That was in the 70s. Mine was in the 90s. Do you know what I mean? That's my point.
There you go.
20 years later,
you know, the same racism.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, but can we just do a shout out to Angelou, Ellis-Taylor, because oh my God, that performance was
top notch.
Top notch, and it was so beautiful to just see a black woman carry.
Oh, she was
and can we just
gorgeous.
acknowledge the love story that went through that, because it wasn't even just the love story of her and her husband, it was the love story between her, the relationship between her and her cousin and her mom. Like that whole dynamic I thought was just so
even
beautiful.
the relationship
she
between
killed
the
them all
cousin and the
after.
cousin's husband.
She did know, didn't she? I mean,
But that's
like, it was a
how
bit
life
dicey
happens
being around
sometimes.
her.
But that's how life happens sometimes, sadly.
Yeah, you know.
Like when you're actually like living the lives, because I was like, oh, this is just picturesque, mumsy, like cosy.
I was a bit like
the thing.
well, I'm in a home and they're living lavish like that. What's going on? But yeah, she
did
say she felt conflicted about it. But I was like, hold on, mummy's going there and you're living like this.
And that's a cultural thing as well. When he was like, oh, like she said that she didn't want to be in a home, like she's made her decision, blah 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 blah. That's a cultural thing. Do you get
and that's what the cousin did say, and the cousin said, we don't always have to do that.
Do you know what I'm saying? But I think it's whatever is easiest for the people who are involved in the situation.
Got busy life, and there's no point bringing her there, and nobody's there to help look after her and keep her.
I think if a film can give you that sort of reaction, you know, and different perspectives of the race and the cast, you know, I think that is a good thing. It's a point. It gives a talking point.
Definitely.
You know,
without it being a
God knows how many white people actually watched it.
N-word here and there everywhere. Do you know what I mean?
I've seen a couple of them.
Yeah, but I have seen a few reviews.
You
know, I have seen a few reviews.
Book of Clarence, so we're going to watch that.
I don't know if Mum is going to like that.
You know, but I was brought up in a situation in England whereby you couldn't love who you wanted to love. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't... It wasn't a casting thing, you know, like there was
blatant
it was blatant, and it was like
not even
though my mum, you know, looked white, there was no such thing as mixed race, you know. It was like you're half caste. It wasn't mongrel. God, they would have been dead if they called it a mongrel.
But those were words that were used. I'm saying you might not have been called it, but
behind our back. But we was called half caste, and that it was a stigma, and that was like. From both sides, that was from black and white type of thing, because white people gave them that word and they used it, and
this
that's
is
what I'm saying
using the
is
N-word
that
as well,
we keep
because I don't
using
none of this taking power back. How do you take power back off a name that was meant to freaking keep you down? I've never understood that.
That's been like artificially done as well. Do you get what I mean? They've done that on purpose, obviously. But
there is a lot of things that we need to find out.
Made me understand a lot in terms of understanding why then, for me as a child, like I would just always say that I'm black, sort of thing. Like I never took ownership of the white part of you, because I feel like you didn't take ownership
of it either,
sort of thing. But then it's also still identifying that is part of, you know, who you are. Do you get what I mean? That is part of who you are. Do you get what I'm saying? In the sense of
But it does make you think, because obviously my kids are mixed race, and you know, we do kiki, oh you haven't got enough melanin and stuff like that. But you know, that movie really made me just look at myself, even in some ways that, like,
how beautiful you are.
Oh no, I know I'm beautiful. I'm not saying that, but just saying, like, obviously because I push how proud to be black I am. Like, I don't, you know, I do have a little laugh and a joke with them, like, oh, it's because you're looking a bit pasty today. Do you know what I mean? So it's one thing that I do. Yeah, I'm going to take into consideration.
Blackish as well. I know you guys didn't watch it. No. It's funny, so they would miss those things. But yeah, like it talks about colorism in that, and like how you guys always the darker ones always take the mick out of the mixed race ones. Do you know what I mean?
But I think But
definitely. I always thought that it was like, if I was to say, oh yeah, I have white in me, it felt like I was begging something. I wasn't trying to beg.
Definitely.
So I would always just say I'm black.
Same here, actually.
And then it's like I'm not trying to beg nothing off you. Do you get what I mean? I'm not trying to like even equate any of who I am to you.
That just happens to be the case.
It just is in there. Do you know what I mean? But then I think obviously when like Dear Son came into the picture, I feel like at that point it was just like, oh shit. I think
them jeans came through.
I was thinking in myself, I was just not expecting, like we've said before, I was just not expecting my son to come out like how he came out.
But that's the same. That is.
Well, he's got your features.
That is the same.
Your
Don't get me.
Do you know what I mean? So
that is also the same as how Bob Marley has not been depicted. Because Bob Marley never rode the "I've got a white dad" thing ever. Do you know what I mean? Ever. Type of thing. So, and that is the same as a lot of black people. You know what I mean? It was like they said to us, it's a one-drop system, and we all rode it because it's like, well, I don't mind being called black. Because black is okay. Black. We are.
No. Happy, right. Right, well, what did you think? Have you watched the movie? If you haven't watched the movie, what do you think about Caste in general?
No, go watch it.
Is there a difference between Caste and racism?
Just go watch it.
Go and watch it, definitely.
Watch it.
But yeah, just end on that analogy of, you know, whatever you agree about on the film, this world is a house, and we may not have done what it's, you know, created, the nonsense that's going on in the house.
Why are we still existing?
We inherited it, so we need to help to fix it.
You too busy worrying about these fishes and these dinosaurs and all this stuff.
Dinosaurs? I think they're
I saw one save the lifeboats. No, guys, we've got bigger issues than lifeboats.
We've got big fish to fry. Yeah.
Shall we just like, you know?
It's like, let's
get our priorities in order.
Let's save
save yourself.
Save an elephant. Well, stop. You know,
killing
like going over there and killing them.
Easy fix.
That's kind of easy.
You know what I mean?
I feel like that, just divert the questions to the people that these need to go to. Like, just put it on the airways for. I don't want to put the description.
I'm going to think about the ozone layer.
Okay,
I'll tell you what.
Another time. My time to talk.